dice, brine, camera, candle, dude. Welcome again to A Dude on YouTube. This time we are going to do the dice balancing test by floating d20s and d30s and possibly a d120 in Brine. I know many YouTubers has done this before and they seem to come to the same result. But it will be interesting nonetheless. So, here we go. So this is the brine. If Google and my kitchenware is truthful, this should be about Dead Sea levels of salinity. Should help heavy plastic dice to float in it. My last attempt at this was a pitiful failure. First out. Game Science D20. Sinking, eh? Well, this is highly disappointing. Just how much salt are you supposed to need? Well, we have now gone from the Dead Sea to some sort of mud made of salt and water. Let's hope that something will float in this. Second attempt then. Game Science D20. The transparent one, an Imperial Zircon Special Edition. It floats. As you can see, 18 came up top. Now, if it is well balanced, it shouldn't come up on the same. A 4. A 7, though that side is close to the 4, but still it's not the same. A 6. A 12. I think we can say this one is random. The second one, an old Chessex D20 from like the 80s. Not entirely sure it's Chessex, but I think so. It came with a Dungeons and Dragons box. It sank. Come on. 90s Chessex D20. Transparent one. Well, at least it floats. 5 up. 14 up. They say that the transparent ones are more balanced than the opaque ones, because you can't, of course, sell transparent dice with a lot of internal flaws. 20 up. Well, that's a 9. My camera won't focus because of all the glare from the roof lamp, ceiling lamp. That's a 1. It's an 8. Better than I thought, this one. So, here comes a modern opaque Chessex D20. This one is just a few years old. And at least it floats. 10 up. 10 up again. Well, 12, 10 next to it. $12 again. Trying to get better lighting, as you can see. There it is again with 10 and 12. Again 12. And yet again, I think we can definitely say that this one is not balanced. Now here's a game science opaque one. This one could have internal flaws in it. 13 up. Close to 13 again, but 15. 5, but 13 is still close by there. 9. Two, still it's the same hemisphere up as the 13, or a hemiocosahedron or whatever one is supposed to call it. 2 again. This one is, by the way, a very modern game science production. It's from this year. And this time it's actually a 6 up, which isn't even close to the 13, so that's a bit better. This is a 15, which is close to the 13. That's a better one. But still, I don't really trust this one. Well, this time the 13 is nowhere to be seen. And I have to go on with this. 13, it's 15 up again. It still feels like this one is 13 up again. This one certainly feels like it is, has one preferred hemisphere. Game science. Transparent. That's a 1 up. And a 12. Well, it's a 2. There you can see it's a 2. $11. 10. Another 10. 16. 7. Definitely seems like the transparent game science dice are doing really well in this test. Let's have another opaque game science. That's 1 point with a 2 and a 5 around it. That's another point, not the same one. That's a point too. Not sure if that's the same as the last one. This is at least a totally different point. Yet another point. Point. Well, it's yet another point. 211, 7, 14, 17 on this one. Well, we are getting a certain assortment of points. Harder to know if some of these are repeating, but there are certainly many different points we've seen. So I think we can pretty fairly say that this one is not favoring anything special, but I don't get why it is so adverse to floating side up. Yeah, not focusing, but you wouldn't want to see this anyhow. It's a really ugly old 70s TSR D20, which once was high precision, but it's now so worn that it's basically spherical. You're not gonna see the numbers on this, you're just gonna have to trust me. A point up, seemingly the same point up, same point again. Yet again the same point. Well, it's ugly, worn out, and not fair. So, this far it would seem that the transparent game science dice are doing best, and I'm surprised that at least one of my two tested opaque game science dice seemed to be biased, and that was actually one of the new production runs, while the older green one seemed to have no bias. Also, the transparent Chessex dice seems to be doing pretty well so far. We're gonna have a go at a few other weird ones now. 80s transparent Chessex die. It sank. Let's re-brine this. Still not floating, eh? Well, I consign you to Davy Jones' locker. Old game science, transparent. That's an 18 up. This one looks really good in the water. Out of focus again though. Well, it's a 13. Can you please focus for the viewers? That's another 13. An 8. A 5. A 10. This one looks really good when spinning underwater. A 4. Well, I think we can call this one fair. 80's D30 from the Armory. One of those weird ones numbered from -0 to +0. That's a +1. +1. Well, +1 is among the ones. No, that's +1 and +7. +1 again. This does not look good. Well, that's not a +1. Neither is that. That's a 5. -7, we've seen that one before. Well, it seemed really bad at first, but it seems to have snapped out of it. Though there's the +1 again. Not so sure about this one. The edges are kind of wearing off too. It used to be high precision, but it seems to be pretty well balanced. Here's a modern production Coplow D30. That's 24. 24 again. Possibly 25. Anyhow, not a good sign. Again. And again. I think we can immediately say that this one is not okay. It is unbalanced. Unknown production transparent D30. Not high precision, so it's not Game Science or Armory. Did Game Science ever make D30s? Don't think they did. Well, 17 sort of. Another 17. Not promising. And yet again. Bad die. Again. No, this one is not okay. To go and fetch my final D30 because I wouldn't want to get stuck in a situation where the fairest D30 I have is this old horrible one from the Armory that the edges are broken on and all that. I really prefer these days. So let's hope the black one is straight and true. Oh. Why can't they all make them out of the same plastics as Game Science? I suppose it has taken up permanent residence with Davy Jones. That's a pity. Now let's try some crazy dice. Crazy dice! Now this is the death die. It is technically a big Chessex D20, a fairly modern produce. Oh, well, to the bottom you go. Maybe this then. It's a fairly big and transparent D20. Ah, it floats. 16. $11. 17. 9. 14. This one seems good. It's a pity it doesn't have high precision edges. I really like this one. really big. I think it's from Coplo, I'm not sure. Ah, damn Archimedes made me spill. 2. 3 and a point, almost 4. Yeah, it's 4. Seven. This is kind of hard to do well since it keeps bouncing off the edges of my little canister, but there is no clear bias, at least this time it's a 1. And now a 20. No, a 13. I think we'll have to admit that this big thing is balanced. Sort of a 4. D120. More sides than a Zocchihedron. And it sinks. And now, just for the fun of it, has been proven again, steel does not float. Well, so there you have it. Seems like the transparent game science dice are the best balanced ones, though where is it? There it is. This one did fairly well as well, as did this one, and the really big one. Kind of messy test. I wonder how all those other YouTubers did it so nicely, and why so many of my Chessex and bigger things just wouldn't float. And it's just a mud of salt and still they sink. Well, I hope you enjoyed this test.